Oh! Oh, oops. I didn't know. Alright. That's gonna be... Where is it? Ah, crud. Welp. Well, I yikes. Ah, goddammit. So I had missed the announcement, or perhaps he announced it earlier, but Steve from The Mind of Watercolor is also having a live stream in like 5 minutes. So, yeah, if you guys would rather go watch his stream, it is about understanding and painting tree foliage in watercolor using photo reference. So yeah, I wish YouTube had a better way to keep track of the live streams that are announced like earlier, so you can easily see if something is scheduled. Because even if I do like the reminder thingy, it will only remind me when it starts, so I have no way of knowing like who else has something planned unless it's a weekly thing. Like I know when Val and Lindsay are having their live streams because it's always at the same time on the same day. But Val, if you wanna go moderate Steve's, that's okay. you don't have to do both. Mine is more of a sort of an unplanned thing, so I really don't mind. This is just for fun. But yeah, it's like even if I hit the remind me of the live stream, it's only going to remind me when it starts, and there is not like a panel somewhere that says the future events that you said you were gonna watch or something. So it's not super practical. Oh no! I think Steve with his crowd might need more moderating than I do. You guys are fairly decent, usually. Hi Victor! Okay, so hi everyone in chat. I see there's Otto, Christian, Valerie, Enya, Enayelsel, sorry, Cyan, Jit, hi. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you guys, I'm sure you guys can behave. Oh, the Terry Harrison watercolors are so pretty. I have yet to set up my palette. Oh, okay. Leslie Ann. Okay, cool. Cool. So I have a cup of tea over here. Good tea. Scout promised you will behave. Scout is fast asleep. This tea is delicious. Okay. I am not British, but I still love tea. So what I think I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna try and mix this color. It's called Albrecht Blue Indigo shade. It was kind of expensive and I got it from Sinopia.com. Oh, I'm drinking Earl Grey with some soy milk in it. Christiane. Okay, Christiane. I'm confused because I'm a native French speaker, so some names just mess my brain up because I'm used to hearing them in French, and then when I see them in the context of speaking English, I just don't know what to do. and Christiane is one of them, because I know a Christiane, and that's her name, like the way we say it here. So that's really good not. So yeah, it messes up my brain. Okay, I'm getting it. Okay. Okay. I wonder if this is just like ultramarine with a very higher price tag and a fancy name. I hope not. I really need to reach to them to ask what's the pigment of their things, because it's not on the label. And aside from me finding that it's kind of dumb that they don't put the pigment code on. I mean, they sell pigment. Why isn't the pigment code on this? Anyway, so yeah, I got this one. I got Cyan is gonna appreciate this color, but I got Mayan green as well, because I'm still looking for a good green color to have like in stock, something that is not as painful to mold as phthalo green. But these pigments were pinged by customs, so they turned out even pricier. So I'm not sure I will make buying from Sinopia a regular thing. I got my mask with the silly pink things. So I'm gonna be like Darth Vader in a few. I really love ordering my pigments from Kama. Kama Pigments, it's the local pigment store, but they don't have everything, of course, but they also have a lot of super nice pigments, but that are unfortunately the toxic ones, like the cobalts and cadmiums, and that was crusted together well. Okay. Just catching up on chat, and then I will put the mask on. Delicious in a non-edible way. Yep. Well, Christian, are you a native French speaker as well? I don't think I would be able to say partage la prairie. La prairie, see? It's a mess. Luke, I am your father. When you put on the mask, I will try. But yeah, it's partage la prairie. Yeah, portage la prairie. Yeah, okay. putting the mask on. Oh, not yet. I have to prepare the goop before. I hate putting the mask on, so... No. I had a really bad migraine last night, so hopefully I won't be too messed up today. But oh geez, that was no fun. Like right when I was about to go to bed, it comes to life. And like I woke up to feed the cats in the middle of the night and it was still going. It's definitely not the worst migraine possible, because I think some people have it a lot worse than me. But it wasn't great. Like it was borderline nauseating at times, which is something that usually doesn't happen to me. I'm fortunate that I don't often have pain that fringes on nausea, because it's definitely not great, and I'm really sorry for anyone who has to deal with that. So that's some crusty honey as well. I know that it's a bit like, I know that if I speak of migraine in the usual YouTube crowd, you people all endure some level of pain one way or another, so you kind of know how not great these things are. And like my nose, my sinuses were killing me, and they still feel kind of sore today, so I just hope this isn't gonna turn into a cold or something, because I'm really not interested. It's always like that. The weather gets nicer and then you get sick. And when it was the winter and the winter was just gnarly, no problem, I'm good. I have to go outside because I am, you know, well, and I'm not sick. I cannot stay in bed. Okay, the mask. Okay. Luke, I am your father. Whoa. Ah. Stupid butter. I
hope this is not just Prussian blue with a super high price tag, because I'm gonna be mad. Kinda looks like phthalo blue though.
Oh, bye, Christian.
I'm just trying to get it all wet, because once all the pigment powder is wet, it's much easier to work.
Okay. Whew. Yuck. Sorry about that. It's a really nice color. Welcome back, Val. You seem to really have issues with your internet lately. Sorry about the absolutely horrible noise. Okay, let's get this party started. I would like fall off my chair if this was like Indenthrone blue. But I really don't know what this pigment is since it's not labeled. Doesn't look too much. It's not as green as Prussian blue, I think. And it's definitely not like a phthalo blue, green or yellow shade, because it's definitely more on the warm side of things. Oh, Cyan. But you have to go to sleep if you're tired. You've been working a lot on your school stuff. Thesis. I really enjoyed the video with the robot. So far it seems to be really smooth pigment in the sense that there is no grating noise. Like when you get some earth pigments, sometimes the particle size of the pigment are a bit bigger and it makes kind of a grating noise against the glass and the molar, but this is really smooth. Though it doesn't seem super smooth. Like I think I see lumps in it, but it's very, very silent. Yeah, warm and cool blues are are somewhat of a complex issue. I will test it on the paper. Ooh, ooh, ooh! That really looks like an enthroned blue, like a lot. Such a great texture, this one. It's really creamy. Making paint is really ideal for if you're on a diet. And I mean, of course I love cakes, but I also love the textures of making cake, like the batter and the dough and the icing. But if you have like this craving to play with texture but don't want to gain like a couple of pounds by eating a whole cake, you can start making paints. I really like the texture of this one. Oh, sorry. Yikes. Just wanna... Come on. Hold on. The curse when watching paint making makes you hungry. It's really smooth already. But yeah, it was a price that of course I don't have the price of the Indentron blue pigment right off the top of my head since I've never bought it, but I think I've never bought it because when I saw it on Kramer I was like, ooh, this is pricey, okay. And the fact that Sinopia doesn't really label the color is perhaps what lured me into buying it. But it is worth it if it's a pigment that's easy to mold, because that's really fun when that happens. Like, not everything has to be Prussian blue or phthalo green, please. But I can still see lumps. I wonder if my slab and molar are like due for resurfacing. I'm really not looking forward to that because that's unpleasant and the noise is just dreadful. But if the tools need it, the tools need it. I'm adding a bit of water in the mix. I don't think this pigment likes water a whole lot. It's easier to mix it with rubbing alcohol, sort of break the surface tension of the water and the paint by adding a couple of drops of rubbing alcohol, but Still water is great for making the mixture more fluid, so it's a bit easier to move it around with the muller. But I still see lumps. I wonder if perhaps the lumps are something I should take care of with the palette knife when I see one. Oh, hi Dan. How are you? Oh, I wonder if the lumps are not my fault. And like if they're not the crumbs of dry gum arabic that I left in the mix in the beginning. If so, yeah. Great idea, Eve. Good job. Felt like I would be able to grind them up, but like I said, maybe my surface is getting too soft. Yeah, the color is just called Albrecht Blue Indigo shade, which doesn't mean much of anything, but it swatches like Indanthrone Blue. Ooh, it is such a fun texture. Ah, I hope that doesn't pick up well, because it's really unpleasant. Ugh. So this is the swatch we made just a few moments ago to try and figure out what color this was. Just gonna let this sit just a few seconds, hoping that the fact that it's wet is perhaps gonna soften the bits of gum arabic. Hey, I could drink some tea. I know it's not recommended to drink and eat while making paint, but I'm not eating with my fingers, I'm just holding the mug. Hi Dryad. I am not oh, hi Lana as well. I am not unboxing stuff today, but I am making stuff to be boxed. Ah, it's a delicious tea. I really enjoy a bit of milk in my tea, but it has to be unsweetened milk, or really, really not sweetened milk, and also vegan milk. If only because I have some sort of intolerance to dairy, so, and it's not lactose intolerant. It's really something about the dairy protein that messes me up. So if something has butter in it, I can usually eat it and not have too many consequences. But if something has milk or cream or yogurt in it, I'm in for a lot of pain. Which is fine because I don't really like these things anymore, and I much prefer the vegan versions anyway, so. I'm really amazed by how smooth it is right from the start. I'm sort of always expecting colors to be a pain in the ass, because so many of them are. And usually, like, the synthetic, super nice, bright colors are the worst. I am looking at you, phthalo green. Just trying to target the lumps specifically. Yeah, I think they are, sadly, the bits that I left in at the beginning, and I'm paying for it. I can somewhat hunt them down though. Aww. Poor Otto is on a sort of white and beige diet. Have you tried the potatoes? I'm just really curious to know if they are considered okay food for easy digestion. I'm thinking that even if I end up putting this in a jar, the lumps are not really an issue per se, because they're just lumps of dried gum arabic medium. So it's not like it's something that will have a huge impact on the paint itself, because it is part of the paint itself in a way. It is so smooth. Oh yeah. Well, I know, I kind of like my potatoes, like boiled potatoes are always tasty, I find, but yeah, if you are really used to eating them with some seasoning, it can be problematic. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If I jar this paint for long enough into a container, perhaps the lumps will simply just sort of soften and melt into the mixture, and this amount of extra binder is not gonna have any impact on the final color. But I should really check if the pigment is properly bound into the paper with the current mixture I have. Oh, maybe we have tastier potatoes in Canada. There are also all kinds of potatoes. Seriously, there's the just off the top of my head, certain types are floury, and some are like waxy. There are some that if you boil them down, they will keep their shape, and others that will sort of fall apart. There's some with red skin and like yellow skin and yellow flesh and white flesh and blue flesh. Oh, see, that's not great. I'll add a bit more binder into it. How can potatoes in the UK be really bland? What? What? I think we got like the fact that we have potatoes now here, isn't it due to like them being brought over from the UK region in general, like something like that? In Finland, everything is potatoes. Poor Cyan. She's allergic to potatoes and she's in Finland, so. I wanted to inquire, Cyan, are you also allergic to like the other veggies that are in the, is it the nightshade family, like the tomatoes and the eggplants? I'm really not sure of what I'm saying, but I think I remember correctly when I say that like tomatoes and potatoes are in the same family of plant. I was saying that yes, but we are known for just sticking with what we have and not improving on them. Aww. I remember my grandma when I was a kid, she had a couple of potato plants in her garden, and there were like the potato plant bugs in them. They are a bit like ladybugs, but not exactly. Oh yeah, all of them. So there's definitely something that like Cyan's allergy stems from the fact that these plants are all from the same family rather than something unique to a plant. Still sucks. Sucks a lot. Japan is truly the opposite of just sticking with something and not improving it. That's really funny. Stephen is saying that potatoes aren't bland, it's just that everything is tricked up with sugars, oils, salt. So by comparison, they're not as tasty. I see what you mean. I am not really, I don't have an issue with that because I've always liked good, like the proper type of potato that can be boiled and keep its shape. I think that's really tasty just as is. Sugar, not sugar, sorry, salt, I don't really see as an issue because we We really need sugar to survive. Sugar, I keep saying sugar. We really need salt to survive. Like, the body cannot function without salt. So, I don't really see it as an issue per se. Perhaps not in the amounts we often find in prepared food. But like, if you make your own potatoes at home and you put a bit of salt on them, it's usually just tastier. Oh, this is really not great. Screechy metal sound. Cyan is saying that they really loved Lapin Puricula. That they have no idea what it is in English, but it's a really tasty potato and expensive. Funny thing is that the first part, lapin, well, if you just say lapin in French, it means bunny. So it's really fitting for you. Oh yeah, salt is in everything that you buy prepared. But yeah, it's the issue is that we eat too much of it. But if you cook a lot of your meals, you shouldn't refrain from putting salt in it, because chances are you might not be getting enough salt if you don't eat out or buy a lot of prepared food or sauces. Like, I don't buy a lot of prepared stuff. I tend to make my sauces myself. And for a great while, I don't think I put enough salt in food. So I'm thinking there might have been a couple of health issues because of that. So now I try to, if it's something I prepare myself and I think that it could benefit from a bit of salt, I just add a bit of it in it. Jet is saying that local Czech cuisine is quite outdated too when it comes to trends, but that they are improving slowly. What would you consider the best example of the most well known or the most representative local food from your country to everyone in the chat? Because it seems we have a lot of people from many places. This paint is so smooth. So nice to just mold it. Oh, it's pretty. Potato pizza. I saw a vegan pizza with tater tots on it recently. And like, sure, if it's good, it's good, right? Alright, so now I'm a bit stuck because I sort of have to wait for this to dry so I can test it. Oh, hello, Ari. Well, hi, and thank you. It's it's a new pigment I bought that is unfortunately not labeled with a pigment code. So I will have to inquire about that, but it really looks like Indent Throne Blue. It's a super dark blue with kind of a warm undertone. So if you guys have Netflix, I would highly recommend checking out Agretsuko. Agretsuko. I know it looks like a cartoon, but it's actually really funny, and it's not for kids. It's not necessarily South Park either, but it's you know, it's like good fun, and the main character is absolutely adorable and funny. And it's really short. It's like 10 episodes of 15 minutes, so it's not like you're setting yourself up for a big commitment. I've watched it all twice, and I really enjoyed it both times. Oh, the name is it's I don't really know how to say it because it messes up my brain. It's Agretsuko. It's like Agretsuko. And if you look at the preview, chances are it's gonna be like pink in the background and have like a cute Hello Kitty-like character in it, but it's made from the same guys that own Hello Kitty, but it's not with the same kind of audience in mind. Like, Hello Kitty is sort of all ages fun for everyone, but Agretsuko is more about it's a PG-14 here on Netflix. So yeah, it's not for kids. It's basically the story of this character that is named Retsuko, and she's a young accountant. She's 25 years old, she's working in a big company in Japan, and she doesn't really like her job. And so the way she copes with not liking her job is that she has this secret that every night after work she goes to karaoke and she sings death metal. And it's absolutely hilarious. Like, she's this adorable small red panda, and she gets really intense when she sings her death metal. So yeah, that's really awesome. It's super silly, it's really nicely animated, and it's a blast. Yeah, it's really great, and it's really easy to relate to the cast and all the characters, and it's really funny. And like I said, it's only 15 minutes episode, but it's a good 15 minutes. There is no like weird filler episodes, or it's really a cute story in 10 small episodes. Well, I guess you can sing anything in karaoke. I mean, why not death metal? No, no, not kawaii metal. Truly death metal. Oh yeah, yeah. Please, if you can, Otto, that's really worth the 150 minutes. So that's like what, 2 hours and a half. There are Marvel movies that are longer than that. It's really great, and I have blue everywhere. She's really relatable as a character, especially if you're close to that age in a way. Like, I'm not super duper close to that age, but if you've ever had a job that you hated, you're gonna enjoy Agretsuko. There's the trailer on YouTube if you really want to have a peek at it before committing to the full show. It's great. Sorry that not much is going on. I'm really waiting for this stupid swatch to dry. What age? Oh, the tea thing they have on the Gretsuko is really Japan. Oh, the fact that the employees have to serve tea to the male employees. Oh, wow, really? That is so sexist. Oh my god. Only female employees have to. Ugh. Wow. And I mean, it's in general, since it's set in Japan and seems to be fairly accurate to to life there. There are a couple of things that I really found interesting, like the fact that the employees, they get to work and then there are changing rooms and they get into their uniforms, but even for stuff like accounting, which is not something I think I've seen here. Like, you dress for work at home and you don't have to change when you get at work, but in the show, she has to change into her work outfit, which is kind of strange outside of hospital. And then she at some point she has to tighten her food budget, and she eats bread crusts with mayo. And I kept thinking, is there a context in which you can buy only bread crusts? And I remembered that sometimes you have like these fancy sandwiches without the crust. So I wondered if it's related to that. So Otto is saying that yes, you can get bread crusts. So I like it. I mean, I understand that it's not necessarily ideal and perhaps an indicative of not being financially well to have to buy these, but then again, I kind of like that you can buy these and they don't go to waste. So but yeah, she eats them with like dipping them in mayo. I keep making a mess. Oh wow. Otto is saying that they don't sell sandwiches with crusts, so bakeries sell huge bags of crusts for super cheap. Oh, bye Lana. Have a great evening. Well, with bread crust you can make what's the word I'm looking for? But you know when you stuff a turkey, you use like breadcrumbs? Well, if you dry out bread crusts, you have breadcrumbs. And I'm guessing you can also maybe use it for frying things. Is this dry? I'm still picking up a bit of the color, but I wonder if it's because it's not completely dry. But since I'm not picking a lot, I think I'm gonna just go with this. Let's roll with it. Oh, Ari, what made the sandwiches alligator? Alligator sandwiches were made with mayonnaise bread. Otto is saying that the bread crusts is the go-to food for students along with instant ramen. There's a whole world of recipes around bread crusts. I think that's cool. Perhaps I shouldn't think that's cool. Perhaps it's like not cool, but I kind of respect it that it doesn't go to waste and that people are being creative with it. I mean, I understand not being in a great position, but if you're capable of still finding ways to be creative about it and to try and make the best of it, I don't necessarily see it as... I see it as a win. Like, people take something that could possibly put them down and they make something out of it. Maybe because there's no choice, but then again. Okay, Otto, melon pan, is it called melon just because it looks like a melon? Or has the melon a bigger role to play in this bread? Yeah, Otto is saying that we have very high expectations from food, but we also don't like wasting it. And I think that's really commendable. I keep dreaming of having the same kind of options as you can have in a combini in Japan. Like I don't really enjoy cooking, but you sort of have to if you want to be somewhat healthy. I don't even manage to be all that healthy, but I mean, if I were only eating out or buying pre-made food all the time, it would be just even worse. But like whenever I see people talking about what they got in a convenience store in Japan, or like sort of the pre-made food is always miles better and like a good size, like not the absurd size we have here. Who needs like 200 grams of chocolate bars? Why is that an option? Why do we have that? Oh, okay, so apparently melon pan has got melon essence in it. Oh, ooh, I like melons. Oh man, I hope I get to try it someday. I would get it from the candy store I told you about, but like I am not sure it would travel well. Like, what's the point of eating it if when it gets here it's all stale and gross? And how am I supposed to get rid of this now? Dan is saying, same in the UK, how do you think we ended up with lard? Hey you. Well, lard is, I mean, if anything, the cultural cuisine of Quebec is probably closer to what is considered the cultural cuisine of the UK. So we had a lot of recipes with lard in it, and I think it's just clever because what other sources of fat you have, like traditionally, refined vegetable oils were not always a thing. So there wasn't like canola oil or even olive oil available. So yeah, like my grandma, she would cook everything with lard because that's what was available. Aw. Either that, Otto, or we make it a super long-term plan to eventually like go there at the same time. I'm gonna make a second batch of the blue. I have only 2 jars to keep mold paints at the moment, so I gotta think about what I'm gonna do. So I think I will like make a couple of batches of this blue, store them in a jar, and then I will possibly mix a couple of batches of white on top of this and mix all the batches of white together to have sort of a light blue color. It's not super original if you saw my latest stream, the one I did before where I was working with a Prussian green base and sort of added in white, but it works well and it's kind of a good base color to add stuff onto it. Anyway, time for the mask. Oh yeah, just quickly, the 200-gram chocolate bar thing. It's great, but not at the same time. Oh, hi, Paulo. And yeah, they say like share it and just eat a few and like a couple of pieces of it are portions, and I'm like, well, you obviously don't have a sweet tooth.
Just a bit messy. Just a tiny, tiny bit messy. Alright, I'm just gonna go wash my hands. I'll be right back. Yikes.
All right. Blah. Yes, I was turning into a blue person. All right. It's a great pigment. Yes, I am making a second batch of blue, the same blue. The first batch kind of leaves a lot of room in my little jar, so I will make at least a second batch, this one, to combine them and have a bit more stock of this color and also less waste, and then I will probably make a lighter version by adding in some white. Sorry, I was catching up on the chat. It's a really great activity to make your own paints. Like, it has led me to understand so much more about commercial paints, also because I can compare them to the kind of stuff I achieve when I do it on my own. And I think one of the main thing I've noticed is that sometimes handmade paints, they will leave a texture on the paper, like it will feel a bit like sandpaper, like very, very, very fine sandpaper, but you can tell that it's more rough to the touch than what the paper was. And I don't think I've seen this in professional commercial paints. So I'm really curious how they work this out. Like, I should really pay attention the next time I use a color like Lunar Black or Lunar Blue or Lunar Violet from Daniel Smith, because that's one really granulating color, and I wonder if it's gonna have the same texture. It doesn't happen with all the handmade paints, but certain handmade paints will have this weird texture going on. Hi, Grace! Oh, Stephen, you found the info from Zenobia? Did you find it on the website? So Stephen is saying that it is PB60, but a micronized version of the organic manufactured pigment. Yay, PB60! I love Indentron Blue. Okay, so there might be a slight disconnect in the stream because apparently OBS decided to disconnect, but it also decided to reconnect. Oh, you sent them an email, Stephen. Wow. They replied really quickly. Thank you so much. I will have to write that on my bag and info sheets so I don't forget. How could I forget? But never know. But I'm glad. I just wish they would put that info on the bags because there's like... I didn't buy only this pigment from them. I bought other pigments and they don't really have any pigment information. So I'm like, well... I'm one of those paint makers that likes to include the info when I sell paints because that's the way I like to organize my own paints. So I figured I should include that important information in the sets. Ugh. I get a bit annoyed when I see handmade paints that don't disclose the pigments they use. Because it's just... I don't know, I feel... I really rely on that information myself, so I'm annoyed when it's not available. Oh, hi, Temple! And... Thais? Emmanuel? Welcome! I'm really curious to see what kind of color we'll get when we start molding the white on top of this base. It's gonna be pretty interesting. Because this one is a dark blue, so I wonder if the blue I'll get with the white is gonna be like middle value or super light eventually. I know it's gonna depend on the amount of white paint I mold on top of the blue base, but still, I think that's interesting. Yeah, then it's purchasing pigments without any info is really taking sort of a risk for two reasons. First, you might already have that color in your in your stash of pigments and you don't know because there are no information. But also, it's kind of hard to answer questions about light fastness afterwards. Yeah, I guess that it really depends the kind of people who will come for your paints when you sell handmade paints. Like if you are seeking to sell more to the hobbyist or the crafter, then truly the pigment information is not going to be relevant. But if you are approaching an angle more of professional paints, then yeah, you need to include the pigment information, because that's the way the people can recognize a color too. Like, I didn't know if this color was Indanthrone blue for sure, even if it really looks like it. Like, that would have been my guess, but there's no way I could say for sure before Stephen checked it out. Otto is making me laugh with the story about the pigments that last forever. No pigments last, well, under certain conditions, I guess they can last a fairly long time. Like, if you check out the Lascaux paintings, these are quite old, but old is not the same as forever, and these were like in specific conditions for most of their existence. Like, away from light and in a cave in a certain climate. Forever! Yes, I just watched Tori's video this morning because I was catching up on my seriously long backlog of videos to watch a bit while I was packaging paints. And first of all, Tori has got to have the most relaxing voice in the world. It's a bit insane. And then I really like the painting she did with her palette she got from Rachel Beth. And I saw that Denise was chatting with her, and that she mentioned my paints in a comment, and I was like, oh, okie dokie, to quote Tori, this is getting serious. Of course, this has to happen when my stock is absolutely empty. Empty? Yeah, empty. But I am working on it. There's just so many things to do, and for some reason my paints are taking forever to dry. Mostly because summer is coming on and it's gonna get really humid again, and I'm gonna have to use the dehydrator to dry paints, possibly. Oh, Tori is Juicy Ink on YouTube. And you're saying that, Otto, but go listen to Tori. I think she has me beat. She's pretty epic in terms of relaxing voices. Tori is bird in Japanese also, I think, right? Oh, hi, Mark. This will always be funny. Aw, well, thanks, Otto. Tori, she really paints beautiful stuff. It's always quite pleasant to watch her videos. I need to swatch this blue. And then is the waiting game. Val is pretty amazing. The magic knob. What? Ah. Why? Why? Ah, you were relaxed, huh? Well, hold on a second. I'm gonna make this wonderful screeching noise that you also like. ASMR. It's great. This paint has almost no smell to it. Like some pigments, they will smell like, for example, the iron oxide might smell a bit like metallic, and some other pigments might have a bit of a smell to them, or a smell of honey. But since I am using clover honey and it's really not strong in terms of smell, I don't really pick up much of anything in this in Denthorn Blue. Ka-ching. I don't use clove oil in my formula, mostly because I wouldn't know where to get it and I sort of expect it to be quite expensive. But yeah, so my paints, they don't really smell much of anything most of the time. Like when I open my own box, there's no smell. It's not like the Colors of Nature ones that have a really strong smell of something sweet-ish. Or I have other handmade paints that smell deliciously of clove. But yeah, mine are just like the great smell of nothing. I'm quite curious to see how it will look with white pigment in it also. I think it's gonna be fun. Clove oil is pretty much cheap, good for toothaches too. I've never seen it anywhere. Maybe it's because I don't really know where to look. But I know Daniel Smith had some scented paints, not last winter, but the one before that. I think there was a balsam scented one. I think one was something like mint maybe, and one was like spices. There was a yellow, a red, and a green. Look for essential oils for cosmetics. Not like you need a barrel of it. Or aromatherapy ones. Okay. The medicine aisle. I'm tempted to say which one, because usually the drugstores have more than one, but yeah, but as I said, I don't really need it for now, so I think I'll just keep on going my standard way of not really including it in my recipe if I don't need it. but yeah, it's really special. Oh, this is so much fun. Look at this. I am unable to play with this stuff and not make fart sound effects noise. I'm sorry. But look, it is so gloopy. If you follow Golden, the paint makers on Twitter, they will often put up videos of their machinery, like the big rollers rolling the paint, and it's this mushy, oh, it's the best texture in the world, but it's like the biggest roll ever, like spewing forth gallons of the paint, and I just wish I could put my hand in it and just squeeze it. It always looks amazing. If I could work for a paint company, I would be so happy. Just to be surrounded by goopy stuff all day, and then perhaps having to test the goopy stuff. Oh no! Oh no, how terrible! Ooh. Yeah, their milling videos are amazing, and also the ones where they will like have this surface and put like blobs of paint, and then they have a special sort of paint spreader thing that I think is just like a board or like a ruler that is 1 millimeter off of the paper, not flush with the paper, but just a tiny bit over it, and when they just push it down on the paints, it makes these gorgeous flat colors that are so much fun, and I just wish I could go like wish myself. Yeah, making Daniel Smith dot cards. Yeah, but I think if it's the employees who do it in their downtime, well, there are very much worse things to do as an employee, like cleaning up toilets. I think has got to be one of the least fun things to do. That we are incredibly thankful when we don't have to do it. But yeah, the making of the dot cards, pretty sure that's you get to just open the tubes and press them down, which is like the funnest part of. What's up with polar bears? Messages. This is still not dry. Dry faster. We discussed the Daniel Smith dot cards last time, and I think Grace was saying that since she has access to the shop, she would see the employees make the dot chart. Oh, well, it's not exactly good yet in terms of sticking to the paper, but I sort of need to get on with my stuff, so I will transfer it anyway, and I'll test it out later. This is why I like to keep these in jars when I'm figuring out the recipe, because if I need to adjust it, I don't have to start a whole new batch. I can tweak a little bit inside the jar and mix it really well, and often it will make the whole difference. If I had a really big studio, I would have like this equipment in at least thrice. 3 mullers, 3 slabs, and 3 tables, or at least 3 spaces, so I can work on multiple color at the same time. Like while one is drying, so I can see how well it lifts or not, I can work on the others. But since I really don't have that kind of space, I am stuck waiting for paint to dry, literally, and then having to adjust. Um, yeah, Polar Bear, I understand that you need help with your project, but I don't think here is the proper place to ask for it, since this is not about eating disorders or this is really more about paint and just chatting. So I think you could possibly have a bit more success if you went to a space like Reddit, where there are boards that will be on the subject of your project. Then the people there might be more interested into taking part in your project. Try Reddit. You will find people to reply in a day for sure. There's always a ton of people on Reddit. Yeah, but still, go to Reddit. This is really not the place for this. The people are not on the live stream to talk about eating disorders, and that could be triggering for some people. If you ever make a project about paint, then that might be fine, but not for this and not for this topic.
Okay, so I put the mask back on. Yes, before I get started on the white, I don't know if you guys can hear me with the mask on. I'm still gonna make a swatch of the blue one that I am not gonna touch, and so I can test it when it is fully dry in like an hour. That is perhaps a bit of honey, a bit too much of honey, but shouldn't be a problem. Oh no, if I don't film my own face, I'm not about to film my face with a silly mask on it. Ugh. Sorry. Whew. Great time to sneeze when you have a mask on. Absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of cool how the blue is soaking up the white pigment. Ah, white is such a pleasant color to work.
Ah, all right. The white is titanium white. I usually don't have any other whites because I don't really have any use for Chinese white because it's more transparent and I prefer to go the opaque route. Can you see over here? Like this area here is kind of cool. Oh, this is kind of cool too. Yeah, the mask is not super fun to wear. But it's necessary. I mean, this is powdered pigment, and even if it's not a toxic pigment, I'm pretty sure it's not a great thing to breathe. I'm trying to catch the blue that's on the side of the sort of the blue surface underneath, so I can salvage the most of it. You can see my white is quite lumpy. Usually I try to work with the knife to get rid of the lumps, because for some reason it works a lot better to get rid of the big lumps. See faces? There. Oh yeah, the edges, they make for really nice, I mean, this is a super nice gradient. Makes me kind of sad that I can't bring in more of this beautiful color in. And I'm kind of surprised because I find that this light blue is much lighter than I would have thought. I don't know why, but I expected it to be a bit more darker than this. Perhaps I have really strong white pigment and I'm just not fully aware of that. But it's gonna make for a really nice light blue color. Yikes! I'm glad there wasn't any paint on that because I would have made a mess. It's almost like a light gray rather than a light blue. It's pretty intense. I know that the camera seems to show it a lot more green than it is for real. But for me it's really a red or a neutral blue. Well, not purple, but you know, it's definitely more of a blue with a warm undertone in the red rather than a green undertone. Trying to scrape in as much blue as I can. Wonder if you can make a print of that transition once you are done mixing. I will try. Definitely. Jet is saying, well, PB60 is quite unsaturated. Can't expect bright colors even with white. You can't expect bright colors with white regardless of anything, because white sort of kills all the brightness of a color. That's what it does. But I think that when I mixed white with Prussian blue last time, Prussian green, it was perhaps a bit stronger still than this one. Or perhaps it's just because it's wet. You know how the colors, they get a bit darker when they dry? Maybe when I swatch this one and I let it dry, I'm gonna see that it's actually a bit darker than what I feel it's like. Because I am not seeing these compared to white, like my background is colored and there are lots of stuff going on, so it's a bit hard to see the true hue and value of a color unless I swatch it. See, that's kind of I always feel like the colors are lighter than what they are, but this is not so bad. Well, yeah, Jet is saying that a bright tint, since you said this is grayish, but you sort of don't really... It's kind of difficult to add white to a color and end up with something bright, because white, when added to any color, will lighten the color and cool the color. So when it's added to this blue, it lightens the blue and it cools it down even more. So yeah, and in this case it's sort of remove a bit of this whatever saturation there is in there, but I think it's quite a nice light blue. I need to catch him on the chat. Just trying to get rid of all the white lumps in the paint. There's quite a few of them still. No, it's definitely not like phthalo blue at all. And it's gonna be even lighter when I'm done, because if I make another batch on top of this one, it's gonna be there's gonna be even less blue to tint it, so chances are that the final color I'm gonna end up with is gonna be a lot more pale. A lot more of a tint. There are so many words to describe colors that it gets confusing after a while, and I'm always looking up the definition of something. Like a tint is always a color mixed with white, and I think a tone is perhaps the same color mixed with black. There are like specific names for these colors, but I don't think that's necessarily known by everyone, so it can get really confusing sometimes. Or you just say the wrong word because you're thinking of something else, and then you're like, no wait, that doesn't work for this. Oh well. Hey, welcome back, Harry. And Lee, hi. Okay, so all I have left is this little jar, so I'm gonna pot this color all my other jars are currently full of paint, and since my paints don't dry super fast at the moment, I have a bit of an issue with them, with having available jars for new paints. I'm really gonna have to use... I had a dehydrator for food, but I was almost never using it, just because it's a lot of work and I don't really have that time. So I repurposed the dehydrator to dry paints. I just put it on the lowest setting and I put my pans in there, and hopefully it helps them dry out a bit. It's really helpful in the summer, because the summer in Montreal where I am, I don't have the AC, I don't have air conditioning, so it's just really humid most of the time. And we have a dehydrator, not a dehumidifier. I have a dehydrator too, but I'm speaking about the dehumidifier. And it works, but the thing is that it pushes out warm air. So either I'm comfortable but it's humid, or it's not humid but it's really hot. Yeah, it's a shade when it's mixed with black. Yeah, I think that's it. I think you're right. I always have to refer to the same graphic on Wikipedia whenever I want to use these words, because I'm like, I don't remember which is which. So I always have to check it out. Alright, so let's make some more white. I'm gonna have to buy more of this stuff soon. Hopefully I can sell a few paints before I have to buy more of this stuff to make paints. That's kind of a lot of water. Oh, bye again, Ari. Oh, is it Ari leaving or Mark? Oh, back to work, Mark. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. Bye, Mark. Oh, bye, Mark. Sorry. I love the smell of honey. This one smells really nice. It's not too strong. It's local. Yep, it seems to be locally produced honey. That's what I always try to get, even to eat, but also to make paints, because I'm fortunate enough that there are many beekeepers in this area. So if I can encourage them, I will. Because bees are awesome and sort of necessary for life to exist. So yeah. Okay. Mask on again.
Oh, Grace, you have to watch the rest of Rotten. There are things that I cannot look at without thinking about that documentary series now.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about sniffing. Oh wow, Jit, that's really awesome. Jit is saying that they are from a beekeeper family, so they have homemade honey. That's got to be amazing. Ari is saying that they were just hearing something about the EU, European Union, passing a really important law banning pesticides that kill bees or something like that. I hope so. Anything to help the bees, they really need it. Rotten is a really nice documentary series on Netflix that is indeed about mostly food things in general. Like there is one about honey and bees, and one about fish, and one about garlic. But it's about the way the industry has sort of dealt with these food and the market and the lobbies and all the weird stuff that has transpired throughout the years regarding these specific products that we consume. The garlic episode really changed my life. I cannot look at garlic again ever in the same way I did before. Like, I was at the grocery store the other day, and I really like stopped in front of the garlic and just tried to compute which one I wanted based on what I learned in the Rotten video about it. So oh no, garlic intolerance, what? Sorry. Thanks, Cuddle Boom. I see the peeled garlic in the jar, and I can't help but think about the video. Grace, about garlic, do you remove the growth in it? I don't know what the word, the germ, you know, when you cut the garlic in half, there's always a part in the middle that's like the part that will grow. But if you remove this part, it's often a lot more easy to digest. Sprout? Like, I have a hard time processing garlic properly. It's not as bad as the dairy thing, but still, I mean, no one likes to burp garlic for a whole day. So whenever I cook with it, I always make sure I remove the inner part, like the green part, and usually I'm fine, and it's really a lot easier to digest then. Powdered garlic is bound to give you issues because it's the whole thing powdered, so you have the green part mixed with everything else, so if anything is going to be even worse than fresh garlic that you prepare properly. Oh, raw garlic is really hardcore. That's difficult. It's like raw onion. Oof. I don't know if it's like through the natural process of aging, but there are certain things that don't get any easier to digest with time. And onion and raw garlic are two of those. I do the same with onions and anything that's in that family. I always remove the green part in the middle, and it's usually a bit easier to digest. Cooked, I mean, I never eat those raw. That's kind of a bit too much. There's also you can possibly find garlic flowers. It's often sold in a jar, like it's gonna be pre-minced with oil, or in season you can find them like green. But it's basically, when you grow garlic, it's the stem, and it tastes like garlic, but it's a lot easier to digest. Thanks for being there, Val. Seriously. Although I think it will probably help with the GERD issue if you remove the in the middle part. I kind of want to draw it because that's the way I can explain things. But all I have is paint, so I guess we're gonna paint. But you know, when you cut a garlic thingy in half, it looks a bit like this, and you've basically trimmed off this part here that was like the butt of the garlic. But there's always this section in the middle, and usually there's like some kind of small thing growing in there, and sometimes it's like a bigger thing growing in there. But you always have this inside cavity with something in it. You remove this, and if your garlic has some green at the top here, you chop that off. And the rest, like just the fleshy bit without the middle and without the green part, if there is one, is going to be easier to digest. So yeah. And if you try it, Otto, just try some very minimal amount first. Give yourself a chance to heal. We want you back with us in full capacity. Because this is not great. This is not a fun situation for you. The tentacle. Yeah, could work. Thanks a lot, Val. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again soon. And really, I appreciate the double multitasking thing, so thanks a lot. And take care. I think I saw the garlic thing when I was looking at cooking shows. Like, it could be Gordon Ramsay or any other cooking show. I think at some point that's how they prepare the garlic, and they quickly mentioned that it made it easier to digest, and I can understand why. I mean, you don't want to be a super awesome chef and serve food that your clients are going to burp for the rest of the day. So yeah. I'm going at the lumps of white with my palette knife because it's sort of easier to break them down, to target them and break them down that way. And once they are a bit broken down, then the muller can process them a bit more easily. The latest kitchen hack I found, though, was how to properly make hard-boiled eggs. It's so silly, right? I mean, you sort of assume that anyone can make a hard-boiled egg. Or, so many random H's in there, but a hard-boiled egg. But I would always have issues with removing the stupid shell. Like, they would be hard-boiled alright, but the shell would always stick to the freaking egg, and then they would be very ugly. And it's okay to have ugly eggs if you're making like egg salad and no one is gonna see, but if you want to make like deviled eggs or something, it's kind of sad when they are all broken up. And it's a really simple trick. You just use a needle and pierce a teeny tiny hole in the shell at the butt of the egg, and there you go. You just boil it with a bit of vinegar and the water, and done. Easy to peel, good looking eggs, and all it takes is like a couple of seconds of piercing small holes at the bottom. Not all the way through, but just through the shell. So I think in this way it helps separate. Dan is saying the best kitchen hack I ever learned, the number for Pizza Hut. You can say that because you are still young. Talk to me again in 10 years, young man, and we will see where you stand. Because life is nice and peachy until you're 25 and then it all goes to shit. It's like 25 is the peak age that you're supposed to reproduce as a species. So if you don't do it, then it sort of just declines from there. So yeah. Well, Cuddle Bloom, you still have 3 days to enjoy all your favorite foods. I'm getting warm, working the lumps out of this white. Yeah, I really started having issues like when I crossed over 25. Like the dairy thing started then, I'm pretty sure. It took me a long while to realize what it was. But like I tried, because the first thing people will try to suggest doing is to try stuff without lactose in it. And I'm like, okay, fine. But I would try like lactose-free cheeses and stuff and still not improve. And then people say, well, try dairy, but like goat stuff. And I tried goat stuff and still no improvement. So I went, you know what? Screw this. No more dairy at all. And we'll see if it changes anything. And it did. So that was the first thing. But then you start being, especially if you're an artist, this is so sedentary. You're always sitting on your butt. And unless you really like sports and exercising, I mean, the activity of doing art takes up a lot of time. So and I mean, I don't even have like kids, so I don't even have that to deal with. But it's not like something you can simply say, well, you know, a lot of people, they will work and then they will like plan time outside of work for exercise. But the thing is if you do that as an artist, this is time you take away from improving at your craft. And eventually it becomes really not interesting to exercise, and you really want to improve at your craft because that's the only way you can improve your working lot. So yeah. Oh. Well, you guys were lucky if you hit the wall at 30. I think I hit it earlier than that with the dairy thing. And in itself, it's not so bad because I can just stop eating dairy and I'm feeling okay. But there are so many things that have dairy in it still. And sometimes it's just not obvious. Like, I wouldn't go for ice cream. I'm not that delusional. But like, you buy crackers and you don't really check because you think this is crackers, and this is not like cheese flavored crackers. This is just like some weird like basil saltines, whatever. And you get home and you try them out and you check out and they have like buttermilk powder in it, and you're like, why did you have to put that stuff in my crackers? What is wrong with you people? Or like dark chocolate with dairy in it. It's like, no, you missed the whole point of dark chocolate. What is wrong with you? Stop it. So yeah. And then like I was able to get really healthy when I was like 28, but that was all I was doing. like I wasn't doing any drawing. It wasn't working out for me, and I was between two jobs. So all I would do was like focus on exercising and just not to the point of obsession, but I challenged myself to try it out, see if it will make a difference. And sure, I got somewhat healthier, but eventually I hurt my knees and then I had to stop, and then you fall back into what you were doing before. So what I seriously hope that the young folks in the chat will get a longer time without the inevitable downfall and breaking apart of the human shell. But yeah, for me it was around 25 that it started happening. Like I was eating dairy for all my life before then and never had any issues with it, and suddenly it wasn't fine anymore. So you never know, you might be like, oh, I'm good now and I'm doing my things and everything is well, but at some point you're going to realize that you start getting sensitive to gluten, perhaps, or dairy, or I don't know, stuff that you've been eating before without any issues. If it's not 99% chocolate, it's not dark. I would argue with that, because 99% chocolate is really intense. It's a punch in the face in terms of chocolate. I like dark, but I will often go for like 70-80%. And if I want 99%, I'm just gonna crunch on cocoa beans or cacao beans, whatever, the chocolate beans. It's incredibly bitter, yeah. Hi, Scarlett. It's nice to have you on the chat. Mulling paint is a really nice exercise for mulling out frustrations. I'm gonna have one arm that's really strong for mulling paints, and the other is just gonna be useless as usual. The only time I found a use for my non-dominant hand in any kind of like work or art endeavor was when I was doing animation. Because animation, I would draw with my right hand and I would flip the drawing with my left hand, and that was the only time ever that my left hand was useful for something. When I was like, usually when I draw, I do everything with this. I might rotate the paper with my left hand, but I have really poor coordination in my left hand, so I try to keep it far away from the good stuff, because it's really not doing the coordinating thing well. What is cinnamon life, except regular life? Jit is saying that it is, but that's the only 200-gram bar that will last forever. True. 99% chocolate in 200-gram bar will indeed last forever. It's amazing when you say you really like to have a super sweet latte, either coffee or tea, but like really sweetened. That's when like the super dark chocolate is nice, because it's a super nice contrast to the sweet drink. But yeah, black coffee and 99% chocolate is a whole world of bitterness. I will not try to pronounce the name of that store, Cyan, but that's really nice that they sell tea, coffee, and 99% chocolate. Oh, well, Stephen, that's really awesome. I mean, I would love to appreciate exercise, but I don't. I would love it if I could easily go walk into a wood that doesn't have a billion people in it. Like, there are a few parks around here, but this city being what it is, they are always so full of people, and like baby carriers and people making barbecues in the public spaces for that, and it's so stressful. It's not a place to go to relax, and I kind of like to walk in nature to just, you know, like relax and not think about all these people that are there and that I really don't want to see, actually. So that's the problem. If I had access to that kind of space, I would probably be a lot more active, like trekking and just walking. But as it's not there and there are people everywhere, and I just don't really enjoy it, I don't find it relaxing. That's the thing with super introverted people, is that you don't refuel by being around other people, even if you don't talk to them. It doesn't work. So even if I'm out there and I just do my thing, and even if I have music on, the fact that there are other people that I have to pay attention to so I don't walk into them, or it's draining. It just doesn't work. Oh, wow. I'm so envious, Temple. That sounds amazing. Like, the only places I've heard of, the only cases of, because, okay, let me start at the beginning, but I was talking to an acquaintance slash co-worker of mine once, and through some luck, they were able to purchase a house in an area of the city that is sort of in the middle of things, but at the same time really quiet and sort of not full of people. And they were telling me that they could just go take a walk in this or that park, and that it would be like quiet, and they had like a forest nearby. And I was like, why I want this? But yeah, it's a bit more difficult here. Like, there are always people and noise and stuff, and that's really not relaxing. I haven't even swatched this color yet. Maybe I should. But it's kind of funny. Like, it's layered. It's like a layered paint cake in my pot. It's fairly similar to the one I had before. Well, that's the same color, though. That was the mix I had the first time. Oh wow, Stephen, awesome. Grace is saying, ugh, people using public spaces. Yeah, I recognize that the issue is with me, not with the people doing what the spaces are for. But yeah, it's just, it's kind of difficult. I find it so stressful. I usually try to take walks when I can, more at night. Not because there are less people, but because I don't see them as much since it's dark outside. And like, if they are further away, I sort of can forget about them. But yeah, it's just not helping with the whole hermit thing going on. Like, I'm already not much of a outdoorsy person. This just makes it worse. Yeah, in Canada we have more space and less people, but we all just crowd into a small few areas. That's the thing. I could move like outside of the city and not necessarily really far and have a lot more space and quiet. But then I would also like have access to not a lot of things. And since I don't drive, and yeah, I don't drive, so if it can be complex to go to the grocery store then. At the moment we can walk to the grocery store, which is fairly standard for this town. So yeah, you gotta win some and lose some, but I should really exercise more, but first of all I hate the word should, and then it's easier said than done. Most of the time the day go through and I've like been busy doing a bunch of stuff, but all stuff that I do sitting on my butt, so it's not necessarily exercise as much. But then the day's over and I have to get on with the tasks of the evening, like preparing food and all that, and I'm like, well, I don't have time to go for a walk. Okay, so I'm mostly done with the mulling part because my little jar here is kind of full and this other jar is also kind of decently filled, so I'm gonna try to make maybe 1 or 2 monoprints of this, and then I'm gonna call it done. And that's not so bad in itself. It's like a good 2 hours live stream. So yeah. Okay, let's try to do something with this. I apologize for the possibly unpleasant noises. I'm just trying to bring back some of the darker blue in the main space. Oh wow, Temple, that sounds great, though I have no idea how you managed to get up at 4 a.m. Oh wow. Disney is saying that they live remote and that groceries get delivered by plane. Yep, that's remote for sure. Okay, let's grab some paper. Oh, Temple, my cats wake me up at 2 a.m., so yeah. Oh, Cyan, you make it sound as if the Finnish people are really rude. Oh yeah, Disney, you better not buy something you won't enjoy because you're stuck with it for a long while. So that's kind of a dry print. I should maybe do another one with a bit more water in it. Just spritzing water. Oh, that's a cool effect. I should try to capture that. The way the blue... Whoa, that's cool. Pretty awesome, right? So that's what I got. It's a bit more liquidy perhaps than necessary, but it's still a nice gradient. Right? I think. Okay, where do I put this one though? I never quite know what to make with these after, but sometimes I trim them up and I put them with paint orders, or like I said, I could make them into business card. I just have to cut them up. And okay, some would have like some marks at the back, but it's kind of weird because some parts will print a lot more dry than I would expect, and some others will print really wet. I'm really not super good at this. Colors. Alright, so I think that's about the best I can get out of this. Or I could try, I'm gonna try to reprint the first one a bit, because it's a bit dry and boring. I perhaps had a bit more of interest to it. Alright, that's a bit better, right? That's at least more interesting. I should do this with the other ones, so if I'm to turn them into business card, they won't have any boring edges. But then again, I end up making such a mess on the back that this is fun. Just trying to make the best of the pigment and not lose too much of it. Alright. Yep, I made a mess. So, so that's it for this live stream, since I'm done. Thank you very much for being there and chatting with me. That's been pretty great. And feel free to ask in the comments if you have any questions. And I will be making more of this type of live streams in the future, because it's a good way to make the process a bit more interesting for me, since there are some downtimes that there's not much I can do. So yeah, I hope you all have a really great day and a nice rest of the week, and we will see each other on Saturday. This Saturday is probably going to be more drawing your pets, so if you haven't submitted your animals, your pets, for me to draw, you can do so by using the hashtag EveDrawsPets and posting pictures on Instagram with this hashtag. So yeah, have a great day and thank you very much. Bye bye.